Hello, thanks for joining us on your channel of choice at this time, Africa Independent Television, AIT. Welcome to Focus Nigeria, your program in which we put the searchlight on topical issues in the polity. My name is Benga Aruleba. It's Friday, December 15, 2017. On Wednesday, a federal high court in Abuja delivered a judgment which has further made uncertain whether and when the people of Anambra Central Senatorial District will have a voice and representation in the Senate. That senatorial district has not been represented since July 2015, when the Court of Appeal nullified the election of Mrs. Uche Ekunife on the strength of a petition by Chief Victor Ume, candidate of the All Progressives Grand Alliance, ABGA, in the 2015 general elections. Even though the Court of Appeal had ordered a rerun within 90 days, in which neither Uche Ekunife nor the PDP would be partakers, this has not been possible as a result of series of other cases, many of which have even traveled to the Supreme Court and back. However, a Court of Appeal decision recently seemingly cleared the course for INEC to hold the rerun, following which INEC then announced January 13, 2018 to have that election. However, in the last 2 weeks, two different orders have again emanated from different courts in Abuja. The first one, on December 5 this year, Justice Olasunbo Goodluck, sitting at an FCT High Court here in Abuja, in the case of one barrister, Chukwuweke Maduekwe, against the PDP, INEC, and Mrs. Uche Ekunife, held that the PDP did not conduct any primaries in Anambra at which any candidate for the National Assembly election in 2015 emerged, even though the ultimate claim of the plaintiff in that case was for an order directing the PDP to refund to him his 4.5 million naira spent to purchase nomination and expression of interest forms, claims which were upheld by the court. The decision of the court that PDP had no primaries in the first place is instructive. That's the first case. Now, on Wednesday, December 13th, that's just about 2 days ago, Justice John Soho of the Federal High Court here in Abuja, in another judgment in a pre-election suit instituted by Dr. Obiora Okonkwo, also of the PDP, held that the plaintiff and not Uche Ekunife was the winner of the PDP primaries for the National Assembly election. The court then directed the President of the Senate to swear in the plaintiff with immediate effect. Now, no doubt, these are two orders of courts of coordinate jurisdiction saying two different things, thus putting, yet again, the electoral umpire in a quandary. Now, it's instructive that here, the electoral body has orders for and against whatever or whichever decision it chooses to take on this issue. But this order by Justice Toho has been generating a lot of controversy. First of all, it's a consent judgment, which means it is binding on all the parties. The plaintiff in that case, Dr. Obiora Okonkwo, is here this morning. We'll be digging deep into how this judgment came about, which is said to be a consent judgment, like I said, and therefore binding on all the parties. And again, it's a pre-election matter, and this is 2017. This case started in 2014. How come this is when this case is coming to an end? That's our discussion shortly. Well, let's give you update on some developments in the last 24 hours. The Senate Ad Hoc Committee investigating the recent face-off between EFCC and DSS operatives in the Asokoro residence of the former DG of the DSS, Mr. Itai Ekpenyong, began sitting on Thursday. However, moments after the committee chairman, Senator Francis Alemekena, opened the hearing, the question of security, national security, and the security nature of the evidence likely to be adduced came up. And of course, in the end, the committee resolved to hear testimonies behind closed doors.
I believe that there should be an atmosphere where we can listen to them and they'll be free to tell us what they feel about whatever we want to know. But a public hearing like this, with everybody around, and respecting the DGSS and Chairman FCC and DGNI to start speaking as openly and as freely as possible, certainly I don't think it's going to work.
Most of this will be done in camera, and we are going to listen to ourselves one after the other, so that everybody will feel free to tell us certain things that should be made public.
For me, I would prefer that we should do this thing openly for people, for Nigerian people to see it, because there is nothing that is secret that they've not done. Because it's a shame on us, on all of us, for sister security listening to be fighting dirty in the street, which means that they don't have what we can call the esprit de corps. There must be esprit de corps in the listening. The military, they have esprit de corps. In the sister listening, they should also have esprit de corps. So for them to fight dirty in the public, then they should tell us what led to that dirty fight. We should fire questions to them. Then when the questions relate to something of security, we can tell the paparazzi to give us a chance.
Chairman, you have already said the majority. This is a democracy. The majority of us agree that we are going to have this discussion with the security agencies in Cameroon. That's this thing. You are only one person here. All of us have agreed that we want to do so.
Chairman, I'm also re-emphasizing this point. We should do it.
We should. Then, in other words, if I have to agree with you to take this thing in off camera, then this hall is too big for such a discussion. So in other words, we have to take them one after the other. Then before we have a group discussion.
I was not notified. We did not fight anybody. Yes, so the reference to dirty fight, street fight, I don't think it's proper, sir. With due respect.
Okay, good.
There was never a street fight. My men went there. They were not allowed to execute the due warrant of arrest and the search warrant, and we waited for some time, and we withdrew quietly. So there was no fight, sir. So I think I want to agree with everybody that this kind of proceeding should be in camera.
Okay, so it was public hearing, but ended up being hearing behind closed doors, so we don't know what happened. Also on Thursday, the Senate Public Accounts Committee began hearing on allegations that deposits into the National Sovereignty Wealth Fund are being spent without appropriation or particular interest. Of particular interest to the committee is an alleged loan without interest granted to General Electric for a power plant in Nigeria.
I'm just trying to find out from you whether the purpose to which this bond was raised is what you are utilizing these funds for.
Last year, there was a drawing of an amount of 13.5 million or thereabouts for payment of interest on the Eurobond.
The Minister of Finance now instructed that they should pay $27.9 million for those turbines to General Electric. And General Electric is supposed to be a partner in this business. That makes sense to you, sir? That is what we are investigating.
All right, this will be our last take. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, met yesterday and took some sound decisions. One was the registration of 21 or so new political parties, thus bringing the number of registered parties in Nigeria now to 67. This surely has a lot of implications on future elections in Nigeria. It's a matter for another day, not for today. And of course, the other decision by the electoral body, equally controversial, is the decision to prosecute the Kogi State governor for alleged double registration. INEC says it has already dismissed 2 of its staff responsible for this. Now, no doubt, this INEC decision too throws up a fresh controversy. One is that whether INEC has indeed established that this incident actually took place and how. I remember when this matter was first reported, I had an INEC commissioner on this program who said they couldn't find evidence of the registration in INEC database and suggested that probably some persons had tampered with INEC base and all of that. And I remember too that on his part, the Kogi State Governor, Yaya Bello, has stoutly dismissed and denied the allegations. The governor actually published evidence then to show that on the day that he was said to be engaged in double registration in Lokoja, he was actually out of the country as he was on official leave. Now, I don't know how INEC has come about its fresh position and whether anything has changed from what it was before now, but this issue is on again, and I'm certain we're certainly going to be hearing a lot more on this issue, because I don't see the Kogi State governor just willingly following INEC to be docked on an allegation that he has initially denied. Okay, so these are the issues dominating the polity as at now. Our discussion is up next. Different court judgments yet again on the Anambra Central Senatorial District, which may have further put the wishes of the people of Anambra Central Senatorial District to have a senator and a voice in the Senate. Those court orders may probably have again short circuit all of that. But one of the personalities at the center of this French controversy is Dr. Obiora Okonkwo, will be joining me for today's discussions shortly.
Well, there was a dispute, this intra-party dispute between himself and then Senator Uche. And then Senator Uche also had an election dispute with Abga, which resulted in the Court of Appeal ordering re-election on January 13, 2018. Now, that matter came up here before the former judge that handled this matter, that there was an objection based on that judgment of the Court of Appeal, that the suit by my client was an academic suit. But Justice A.R. Mohammed, who was sitting on this matter before, ruled that it was not academic, that Dr. Obiora was not a party to the election dispute. So he overruled the objection until today. There's no appeal. So, and then in pre-election matters, anything that happens in the post-election period is subject to what happens in any pre-election suit. That has been the trend. So even if you win the election, whether you are challenged in the tribunal or not, if there's a pre-election matter in court and you are ordered removed, that is the most binding decision. The Supreme Court has said so in several cases. They are too numerous to be counted. Essentially, the Federal High Court has just ordered that Dr. Obiora be sworn in as the senator representing Anambra Central Senatorial District, and that he should be accorded all the privileges of a senator. So, whether or not there was an order that there should be a rerun in January 2018, that doesn't count at all. That issue came up, and Justice A.R. Mohammed dealt with it. There was no appeal against that. And also today, when we were arguing, all the parties, including INEC, conceded, submitted to judgment. So it was on that basis that the learned judge of the Federal High Court, Justice Toho, granted our reliefs.
I thank the judiciary. I've always said that justice might be delayed, but surely not to be denied. In this particular case, I guess there is no more opponent, because it's like everybody has seen the reality on the ground and decided to show some understanding and concede to judgment. So everybody in this case is a partner in progress.
Right, if you just joined us, a very warm welcome to you. The man you just saw there is there live, Dr. Obiora Okonkwo. Dikiora. What's the meaning?
Well, Dikiora is just...
So it's Dikiora.
Dikiora definitely is a strong man of the people, given by the whole federal constituency of Idemili North and South. And there's another one you are missing, Ugebuibo, which is the alter ego. Ugebo is Miro. Igbo, Ugebo, alter ego of Igbo man, given by the whole you know, for the whole Igbo. Buruburu, you may have been hearing of
I know Buruburu. Buruburu
so,
means
Ugegbu Igbo.
worldwide, ba?
Wherever you go.
Anyway,
Thank you. Thank you,
Dr. Okonkwo is a member of the PDP, she's a chieftain of the PDP. He's also a member of the League of Anambra Professionals.
Why? Yeah.
And the chair of the diaspora committee of that.
Exactly.
That I know for sure.
Yes, yes.
Okay,
you
good to see you.
Thank you.
You are the latest, let's say, I don't want to use the Godfather because we are just going to, it's just over a senatorial district.
Yes.
If eventually it happens.
Yes.
Yes. But then you are the latest man in the eye of the storm in Anambra Central.
Well, fortunately or unfortunately, yes.
First of all, how does this judgment come about? This case is supposed to be a pre-election case.
Exactly.
From my records, it started way back in December 2014.
Exactly.
Long before the elections were held in April 2015.
Exactly.
How come this case is just being disposed of now? And we are talking at the first layer of the judicial system, the High Court.
Well, you know, that's the judiciary. They should be in a better position to answer this question. But however, the facts of the matter is that immediately after the primaries, which you could recall took place on 7th of December.
That's the party primaries?
The party primaries, yes. 7th of December 2014. Yeah. Immediately the outcome was obvious that there were some maneuvers. I proceeded to court. And that was the rightful thing to do at that moment. This matter has gone to Supreme Court twice, has gone to Appeal Court 3 times, and we did not just start just today, as you have recorded. So it is not just that the judgment came. It has been a long fought battle. There were many candidates of PDP who had at one point or the other indicated their interest to be part of this suit. And normally in an election matter, somebody applies to be joined. Whether you refuse or you agree gender, there are interlocutory injunctions and on and that and appeals. So that has taken us on and on and on to Supreme Court and back.
So this case has actually gone to the Supreme
Court? It has
Court?
Gone to Supreme Court 3 times, 2 times, Appeal Court 3 times. And then here the most interesting thing. 3 federal high court judges have withdrawn from this suit.
Why?
They should better tell you. The first case...
Something fell, I hope it's not...
No, it's okay. It's okay. The first case, this case was first assigned in 2014 to Justice Muhammad of Federal High Court. When the court for over 1.5 years. He had joined judgment 3 times. And on the last day of the judgment, we had gone to court to take the judgment, and he just withdrew himself for no reason. So we started all over. He was assigned to...
He didn't give any reason.
He did not give any reason.
No, but that's clear. And nobody raised any issues against the judge to the NJC on that?
Nobody. There was no petition. There was no issue. He withdrew. Then some ruling he gave to that effect took us to Appeal Court, took us to Supreme Court. By the time we were back for the substantive suit in Federal High Court, it was assigned to Justice Abang.
Same Justice Okon Abang.
Justice Okon Abang. So Justice Okon Abang was dealing with the matter until the time he was posted out of Abuja territory. Yeah. Then another court came into Federal High Court, Abuja here, Justice Quadri, who now inherited the case in Justice Abang's court. We started the proceeding. On and on and on we went until one day, Justice Quadri withdrew again from the suit.
What was the reason again?
No reason. No
are you
petition.
sure you are not the one responsible in all of these instances?
Well, if I am, then that would be interesting. But I wouldn't be working against my interest, because my interest was simple.
Because if a judge is withdrawing from a case, he has to give reasons why he's withdrawing. Either he's the issue of bias has been raised against him, and in order to protect his own integrity, he withdraws. And he makes it public. And he hands over the case file to the chief judge for reassignment.
I agree with you, Benga. That should usually be the case. But in this case, no reason.
Just like it happened.
Just like it happened, Mohammed. Just like it happened with the other team.
So that was the third judge.
That was the third judge. So when people hear considered judgment, consent judgment, it looks like people just went to court and concocted something and everybody agreed to that. No. And don't forget in between, the political Amazon of Anambra State, Uche Kunifa himself, was a party. Herself, yeah. She was a party and remains a party to this suit. She was sitting in the Senate. And she has been fighting with everything she had.
No, but she stopped sitting in the Senate since July 2015.
But she was still a party to the suit. Don't forget that when her judgment was came out of appeal court, he continued to pursue further in the Supreme Court. You remember?
Yeah, so but because it was an election petition.
Yes.
She had ceased to sit.
Yeah, she stopped sitting, but she continued to pursue her interest, which obviously she has all the right to do in the world. So it was a straight. I guess really that compared to any senatorial seat in any part of Nigeria, there is no one that is as hot as this. So it took that long. The judges withdrew. I never had to question, I never had to ask, but because for me, when I flagged off my campaign in 2014, I had told my followers, if it is God that gives this power, like you all believe, and He has chosen that there is a purpose to me, for me to be a senator in there, we must just have to be patient, do everything that we have to do as human beings, but wait on Him to take decision at his own time.
I remember that was a statement you also made to me the first time we talked. That was after INEC had fixed January 13.
Exactly.
And then I read somewhere that you said INEC cannot hold an election because you are still in court. And I said, who is this one? Where is this one coming from? And somehow I got your number.
Yes.
And this exact statement was what.
That's exactly what it is. I've never changed with that. I'm consistent with it because this is just. If it goes well, otherwise, because I have no other reason to be in Senate if it is not for a purpose of God, and I am a gainfully self-employed person. I have what I'm doing. I'm busy, and for me, it's not a life or death kind of a thing. And so I've been patient with the court and waiting for the right time that it pleases God. Like I said in the interview, justice can only be delayed, but not deny in my own case.
But let me take you back a little bit to the first judge that handled this matter. You said his name is
Justice Mohammed.
Justice Mohammed.
Yes.
And he had taken arguments from all the parties. This was after the case had gone back and forth and all of that, issue of Jonah and all of that.
Even more than argument.
And he had adjourned for judgment.
More than that, let me tell you, Justice Mohammed had had all the preliminary motions, giving rulings, preliminary rulings in that case, gave us date for judgment 6 months after the case was filed. On that day of judgment, he claimed that he had some conflict in the result sheet that I presented and Senator Uche Kunife presented. So he needed oral evidence to clarify the issue. We said, okay, called for oral evidence. Oral evidence was even taken before Justice Mohammed. The chairman of the panel who conducted the election in Anambra State, undisputable chairman from the National Working Committee, the neck of PDP, stood on the dock, gave oral evidence to clarify the issue on which result sheet is authentic. Because in the case, there were many affidavits. The members of the panel that came for the primaries, including senator, including professor, the chairman himself, swore an affidavit since 2015 that in the primaries they conducted in Anambra State, my humble self won.
What's the name of
an affidavit.
Yeah, what's the name of the man who conducted the primaries?
The chairman of the panel is Alaye Tremia.
Okay.
He conducted primaries.
I don't know whether you are aware of another judgment that came before yours from an FCT High Court. It's in the case of one barrister, Chukwuweke Maduekwe. Do you know him? Who also claimed that he obtained nomination forms for that same senatorial district, but that there was no primaries, that he didn't take place in any primaries because there was no primaries. And that was the case he took to court. Two planks. One was that there was no primary, the PDP didn't conduct primaries, and so if the PDP didn't conduct primaries at all, but he was sitting in his house in the evening, and then he saw on the AIT, I'm quoting from the judgment, he saw on the AIT a result being announced of a primary that had, and he was not part of it because he was told there was not going to be primaries because the same man you mentioned now, the Timi what?
Alaye Tremia.
Alaye Tremia actually took the election materials to the police station and left them there and returned to Abuja because the atmosphere wasn't conducive. That was his narrative before this court. And he wanted his money back. The 4.5 million he paid for nomination form, he wanted it back. That was the second flag. But he wouldn't have succeeded on the second one if the first one wasn't established. So the court believed him that the PDP had no primaries. That's why I asked you if you know him.
Well, I don't know this man.
Chukwuweke Maduekwe.
I don't know him, and I don't know where this judgment is coming from. But again,
I don't know him too. I think it was after the ANEC, after Victor Ume's appearance there, that he forwarded this judgment to me.
Okay, but if I got you right,
yes,
you said you were sitting in his house on the day of primary.
He didn't take place. Take part in any primary because none took place.
Okay, so and he was sitting in his house.
Yes.
On the day of primary.
Yes.
So maybe he didn't go to primary. Is it because maybe he didn't go to primary? And I think obviously, if I was him, and he paid for 4.5 million,
yes,
and maybe that day for one reason or the other, he didn't go to primaries, and he asked for his money. If PDP thinks they owe him, they should pay him.
The court has already directed PDP to pay him.
Oh, that's fine. If that is the case, I want to believe that's the order of the court. But as far as this
I raised that issue because of the first plank, which is that if he didn't establish the first plank, there would have been no need for him to make the second plank.
Well, for whatever that reason is established, it absolutely is of no consequence to the issue I have at hand. One, I am not a party, and then my own case, there was no debate in my own case of whether there was a primary or not.
Okay.
It's a different,
entirely different. So you called witnesses. You were telling me actually that evidence was laid to establish that was primary.
In my own case, the parties to the suit accepted, undisputable, there was a panel of NEC. And then we won the primaries. And the chairman of the panel was one who testified. And there were affidavits from members of the panel that indeed they conducted the election. And there was result out of it. And that result I won. And don't forget, the NEC of the party sends National Assembly panel to conduct state National Assembly primaries.
Yeah, I know.
So these people did not only come to Anambra to conduct primaries for Central. They came to Anambra 5-man panel to conduct primary for the whole of Anambra State.
Okay.
And out of this primary, 3 senators were produced from 3 senatorial zones, and about 11 House members were produced, and all of them are serving today.
The 2 other senators that are serving now, they are on the platform of the PDP.
Well, they were on the platform of PDP.
And it was the same panel
it was the same panel. It's only one panel, 5-man panel, as it is by the.
So that further validates your case.
Oh yeah.
But you were saying that there were discrepancies in the result of the primaries tendered by you and the one tendered by.
Well, usually I presented the result of my own primaries,
which showed you won,
which showed that I won, confirmed by the panel in affidavit. Then Uche presented her own.
Did she lead evidence to also establish the veracity of that one?
Well, she couldn't.
Okay. But so, unfortunately, we cannot establish all of this because it would have been okay if the court had proceeded to give judgment and then he would have pronounced on which of the two sides he believed. But you said the judge didn't deliver that judgment.
Well, the issue was that it's not different. You see, because the whole world knows, even Victor Ume himself, the man of APGA, has told the whole world that I won the primaries of PDP. It was based on his own conviction and documentations, those affidavits that I have in court, sworn by the Congress members, that she challenged Uche Ekwunife's validation of Uche Ekwunife's nomination.
So he had used you before, not knowing that at a later point you will likely come and become his albatross. Because you have become his albatross.
I wonder why I should be. All he needs to do is to congratulate me and be happy that the right person eventually has won. So this is an obvious issue. So in Anambra State, and in my own case, there was no contention about whether primary held or not.
Okay.
There was no contention about who had primary or not. But we're saying this authentic primary, because the process of primary is not only about who came to conduct it. You have to advertise the venue, which in this case is Ekwueme Square. You have to publish in the newspapers.
But the PDP issued a guideline for...
And there are guidelines and all that. So whatever these guys claim is making is of no consequence.
And the order... Now, the one I just talked to you about?
Yes, and the order which he may have, from what he just said, is for his money to be returned.
Yeah, I think he was more concerned about his money.
Yeah, it's of no consequence for any other thing.
The court made reference to the fact that the PDP didn't conduct a valid...
A reference is different from order.
Well,
you know what I mean? Because order may have some consequence there. The consequential order probably sought for was his money to be given, to be returned. Yeah. So if, for instance, you had gone to court and said, this is Wenga, he stole my money, give it back to me, right? And the court says, okay, Wenga is a thief, he stole the money, you should only give him back the money. And if you have not sentenced Wenga for his crime, the court will not grant you what you've asked.
The court is not a father.
So if this guy, so if anybody is trumping up this, whether it's from APGA or what, I don't know for what purpose this is coming up now.
The guy is PDP, and the defendants in that case are PDP, INEC, and Chief Mrs. Uche Ekwunife.
Well,
and the judgment was delivered on the 5th of December. I think.
Well,
yeah.
you know,
by Justice O.O. Goodluck.
Okay. Okay, the good thing there is
5th of December was when the judgment was delivered.
Well, good for him. I'm not a party, so it doesn't concern me. And
let's move on. Like I said,
I have nothing to do. I have nothing to do with this.
But at what point, before I get to that, who were the defendants in this? In your case, you were the plaintiff.
I am the plaintiff.
Yes. Who were the defendants?
The first and second defendant is the chairman of the party, in its own personal capacity. Then Muazu.
Adamu Muazu.
And then the party, the NEC, in its own entirety, and then INEC.
Okay, INEC.
And then Uche Ekwunife, the 4th defendant. So there are 4 defendants, and then my
PDP, the chairman, INEC, and then Uche Ekwunife.
Yes.
And all of them, at what point then did the parties agree to a consent judgment? You were trying to explain it, and then you veered off to something else again. This consent judgment, whose idea was it, and what was it supposed to achieve?
Well, you see,
was it because all the arguments had been advanced and all of that?
All the arguments have been advanced. The facts of this matter have been proven long before now with those affidavits. Because even in the process of the defense or the litigation, on that Uche Ekwunife's result sheet, usually you have returning officer who would come and say, you know, who conducted the primaries on the field. We also have an affidavit from the returning officer that obviously he was not appointed for the job. So the case itself has been proven. Do you understand what I'm saying? But again, you know, no pronouncement has been given on this matter.
Yeah.
And with the structure of the case, there is no other pronunciation or pronouncement that would have come out of it except that my humble self won the primaries of 2050 because we've done that beyond any imaginable proof. So at the point now, probably all the parties have been. Amenuche Kunife, you give her credit. She's a woman who is a strong fighter.
She's an Amazon.
She's an Amazon, and I can tell you here that she's somebody that you don't wanna go on a fight with her at the opposite side, you know. But again, being a good general, it is to know when to fight and when to withdraw. So when she probably has exhausted all her chances and possibilities, and then obviously, you know, it takes a whole lot to be in this kind of fight. And you must have to be fighting if you are sure there is something for you to gain. Do you understand what I'm saying?
That's correct.
To keep Asian, to keep people going to court is a lot of stuff. So in her own wisdom, she considered to judgment of the court. Then obviously, on the side of PDP, PDP didn't concede today. The fact was that when McAfee-led PDP came into power, they had opportunity to go into some of the outstanding issues that are facing litigation in PDP as it concerns the internal affairs of the party. And they find out that my case was a very straightforward case. They looked at the facts, they looked at the affidavit, and then on their own also, they had withdrawn since early this year. They didn't just withdraw to the PDP. They looked at it and then sent the legal advisor to court, swore an affidavit that they were withdrawing all their defense. In fact, PDP did not only withdraw their defense and concede to judgment, they also affirmed in an affidavit before the court that I won the primaries. It is before
the PDP,
yes. That was since the beginning of the year. So it wasn't like this journey started today.
Is the PDP blowing hot and cold then? Because at the point when the Court of Appeal judgment then came that a rerun should be held, the PDP tried to conduct a fresh primaries. I don't know whether you are aware of all of this. You are aware of how former Governor Peter Obi then jumped into the fray. I don't know whether you are also aware that he's also in court claiming to be the candidate of the PDP in a rerun that is to be held.
Yes, you see, that's not exactly the case.
Okay, tell me what's the case.
But again, we are talking about the PDP of the old. The PDP of McAfee looked into all those. So they were not part of the P2B project. Okay. But they looked at it and felt that at least for this case in question, looking at it on its own merit and the facts before it, because again, if you go back to the party guideline, the single returning officer to the primary is the chairman of the panel.
Yeah.
And when this chairman of the panel has sworn an affidavit, stood before the dock for over 2.5 hours interrogation, affirming that the primary conducted, I won the primaries. He had other members of the panel, professor, senator, chief, very responsible people, swore affidavit. You know what it is for a professor to swear an affidavit saying, hey, I can't be part of this.
He's putting his whole character on the line.
Yeah. Senator, former senator. Those things are before the court. So when you hear about conceding, it's like there was no case. It was a well-fought case. So now going back to the other one, PDP did what they had to do. Because INEC was saying they should conduct an election. And if PDP says, hey, you don't conduct this election without us. But again, what you may have failed to know is that in the same vein, INEC was being notified of my own case pending in court, even at that time. Those things were before the court. So INEC was not only informed that, hey, if you have to conduct a rerun, our PDP must not be left out. But however, before INEC also, there are other notifications that we have a pre-election matter that is superior I'm predating this judgment of appeal court.
But here, and I need you to also be as frank as you can be.
Yes.
Your judgment on one hand, and the Court of Appeal judgment on the other hand. The Court of Appeal judgment had looked at an aspect of your issue, which is whether or not the PDP conducted primaries or had a candidate, and the Court of Appeal, sitting as on an election petition, had already heard that the PDP didn't conduct primaries, and so the PDP candidate, the election was nullified, which was why which Ekudife's election was nullified. And the court had made consequential orders, of one of which is that in the rerun to be held, the PDP cannot be a candidate, cannot feed a candidate because the PDP has been disqualified from the race. That's the Court of Appeal judgment. But you said you were not a party in that case. Can that judgment be binding on you because it came from a superior court? And then, if you are in INEC, for instance, wouldn't you rather look at the Court of Appeal judgment, which is a superior court, although the parties are different, as against looking at the judgment of a high court?
Okay. Winger, you held an opinion like maybe from Victor May's notebook, because he has visited him so many times.
No. I just put the facts bare. Okay. I just laid the facts bare.
Those facts are conflicting. But let me make it clear.
Yeah. But you know that there's a Court of Appeal judgment.
Yeah, I know that there's a Court of Appeal judgment. But the fact of the matter is this. In election issues,
yes,
pre-election case is superior to post-election case, no matter where it ends. I'll give you an example. If you recall the case of Abia State, Governor Ikpeazu had fought a very rigorous post-election petition case
up to the Supreme
Court.
Up
to Supreme Court.
Yeah.
And Supreme Court declared him a winner. From your interpretation of the situation, you would have said that the final court of the land has spoken, and that's why it ends, right? Yeah. He remains a governor without any interruption or forever.
Yeah.
But to recall that shortly after that,
Justice Abang,
there was a judgment in Federal High Court.
Yes, Justice
Abang declaring Oga the authentic candidate of PDP. As such, should be issued with a certificate of return in a pre-election matter in a Federal High Court. And because of the superiority of pre-election matter over post-election matter, INEC automatically obeyed and issued Oga certificate of return. Does that explain that? The only saving grace was that
there was no chief judge.
There was no chief judge to swear him in, and in between the time, Ikpeazu was able to appeal and then go for stay of execution. Does that answer the question? But then when you go back to the other issue, the issue in the appeal court for which this judgment was given was different from the issue in my own court, in my own suit, entirely different issue. No matter all the shenanigans that are going on, no matter all the issues that are going on misinterpretation, ABGA candidate had gone to court for two things. One major and one minor. And one major thing was that he had gone to election petition tribunal claiming that he, the candidate of ABGA with his party, won the senatorial district of Anambra Central and asking the tribunal to declare him the winner. In a minor issue, he had just said that the lady, the Amazon, Uche Ekwunife senator, was not validly nominated based on his own knowledge of my own claim. The tribunal took time to recount the results, the ballot papers in the tribunal of the disputed areas where he said he had more. He recounted it. In the process, we even saw that there were some irregularities in his results. They removed some, he won, removed some that PDP won. And then, at the end of the day, PDP still was winning with over 20,000 votes.
Okay.
This happened and nobody.
That was why it was not declared winner.
That was why the tribunal refused that grant.
Okay.
And then in the same vein, that tribunal, in their own judgment, which I believe was right, now said that the issue of his claim about Uche Ekwunife's validity nomination is just simply an internal affairs of the party and should not be treated in tribunal.
And by the way, by that time, the Supreme Court had already propounded a theory that only a member of a political party can raise issues of who won the party primary.
Not only a member of political party. You have to not only be a member
of that.
You must have bought the form.
Yeah, you must have
you must have participated to raise the issue. So that judgment of federal high the tribunal was correct. Then they went to appeal court, appealing the judgment of the lower tribunal. In the judgment of the lower tribunal, it was very clear. They considered all the facts before them and now told in that judgment that they were constrained to grant the request of Victor Ume and Abga to be declared the winner of the election because, I'm quoting, that in accordance with the electoral law, it is only the party with the highest number of valid vote cast wins the election. And then they repeated, in this case and in this election, it is PDP. So that judgment in itself validated the victory of PDP.
And if the candidate of the PDP before the court at that time, as we said, not to be validly nominated, those votes are regarded as wasted votes.
They are not. Because if they were regarded as wasted votes, listen, if they are regarded as wasted votes, you know the consequence?
Yes.
No. No. Winger.
All right, tell me.
Are you saying somebody's mind or you are listening to the facts?
I'm trying to follow the law and
I don't know what law. That's not the case. You are wrong. If the candidate before the court, individual on her own merit, was disqualified, if the court had invalidated the victory, they don't need to call for a run. They should declare the second runner of the winner. Go and check where you are reading your law. If you had gone to Olympic game and you won a medal, and after a few years they discovered that you did not win, did they call another Olympic? They don't. They give you a gold medal. They withdraw the gold medal and give to you if the entire exercise were disqualified. Do you agree with that?
I do.
So you should tell your good friend Victor Ume. Okay, now, so this is the fact. If that judgment, if that judgment cancelled out the whole process of PDP victory, the only immediate thing to be done in that case was to award the victory to second runner-up. It has happened in the Nigerian, when they find out that the entire exercise, this person, they give the second person, becomes the winner. So, but because that before the court, the individual before the court, individual in the person's capacity was disqualified. And they could not give that victory, which was still valid, to another person. And that gap has to be filled. The best thing they could do was to call for a run. Now, let me tell you what it is like in my own case. Where I come from in Igbo land, if a man like you, Benga, with all the work you have made in this AIT and the focus,
I'm not deplorer.
If you are coming from my own place, and by not you, but just, and you are gone, okay, and we are village people, which you call your kindred, looked around, you have nobody to inherit your wealth, right? You have no heir, no wife, no children. After the sympathies, you know what they do? They come together to share whatever that belongs to you among themselves. Because before them, nobody. But in the process of doing that, somebody shows up and say, hey, I'm the son of this man. And they test the DNA, and from the DNA, He's the son or daughter of the man. What would they do in that case?
He should inherit the...
I am the heir.
Okay, that's as simple as you can put it. But
that's just to put it in that.
Let me follow the law. Okay. I'm not following Victor Omen's proposition. I'm following the law.
Okay,
let me read the law. How about when you know what the Supreme Court did years ago? How many years now? Several years now in the Rotimi Amechi case, where the Supreme Court said he was deemed to be the candidate of the party, even though he didn't campaign, the people didn't see his name on the ballot. But because PDP won, in the eyes of the law, he was deemed to be the one that the people voted for. But you know that the position has since changed after that Rotimi Amechi case. There has been an amendment to the Electoral Act. There's a provision in the Electoral Act to the extent that in a pre-election case, even where you win, the best you can do is to nullify the election so that that candidate will have the chance of his name being put on the ballot. Because the new provision is that anybody who has not taken part in all the processes leading to election cannot be given victory. You are aware of that?
Benga, let me send a note of caution. You're on a national television. People are watching worldwide.
Yes.
Don't do this because the lawyers and the justices will be mad at you because you are not updated.
Okay.
The latest issue
on
this is a case decided by Supreme Court on Eyotium. Done by my own counsel, my lawyer to this. Don't even attempt that because you'll be very deceitful. That case, the two cases you quoted, Amechi versus Omega, is one of the strongest authorities that we based on which we're in court.
Yes.
And then the second authority is Eyotium, the same Supreme Court, which is the latest. Do you understand what I'm saying? So don't even go there because you are taking a very big risk. If you read that, you must read the case. You must get the authority I'm talking. If you don't have that authority, then read the Eyotium first before you read that one.
Eyotium is a decided case. It's not the law. It's not law. It's not the electoral. I'm just reading let me read the electoral. You can make whatever conclusion.
No, but if you must, let me tell you.
Sorry, I will allow you to expound the Eyotium case.
I'm not a lawyer. I don't have the authority here, but you must. When you're talking about the issue, you don't treat it in an isolation.
It's just that you don't want me to read. Let me read the Electoral Act. I'm reading from section 87 of the Electoral Act. Subsection 9 of it says, notwithstanding the provisions of this, I'm talking about challenging a party primary. It says, notwithstanding the provisions of this act or rules of a political party, an aspirant who complains that any of the provisions of this act and the guidelines of a political party has not been complied with in the selection or nomination of a candidate of a political party for election may apply to the Federal High Court. So it's a pre-election case. Or the High Court of a state or FCT for redress. I just want to ask you whether the redress contemplated here means if the election has been concluded, you inherit the outcome of that election.
Okay, now let me tell you actually the interpretation of what I have read. Because what you have read is not the right interpretation of the wrongful information in one of
That's why I want you to talk about Eyotium's case.
Now, let me tell you what, even this thing you've read is also in my favor. Is the same reason why I'm in court.
That's what I said, that you are applying for redress.
Yes, and
let me tell you. What is the redress contemplated here?
Yes. Now, let me tell you before now, every issue surrounding primaries of the court, every issue has always been seen as internal affairs
of a political
party. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it is this, with this authority, electoral law, that makes it possible for me to go to court and challenge for the redress. And let me tell you also one other thing you should know.
Yeah.
When this judgment was given of our appeal court, okay, to conduct the election, INEC issued in their statement that they were doing that in absence of any other encumbrance, right? But as it is today, with a competent court declaring me the authentic
winner,
authentic candidate of PDP in the 2015 election.
And because PDP won.
Not only that, even if it starts from there, I'm the authentic candidate of PDP for 2015 election.
Yes.
So all the privileges, It's accrued to me.
That's
so
what I'm saying.
Now,
you see, it's you that didn't want me to learn before.
The point I want
and you
to
are
make,
going to be walking to the Senate now because the PDP won.
Yeah, that's right. But the point I'm trying to make...
Suppose the PDP had not won and you had been in court before that election.
Okay,
would you be declared winner?
If PDP...
or the court will say nullify the election because this man didn't have the chance of testing his candidacy.
Okay, now let me tell you what would have happened. If PDP did not win...
Yes.
Okay?
Which is...
Now let me tell you, let me explain. If PDP did not win...
Yes.
I will not be in the court asking to be declared the winner. But if there is a rerun that is coming up for any chance, the court has declared me the candidate. So it's a two-blow stuff. So for being a candidate already has declared, any election relating to that Anambra Central that is conducted without me as at today is an exclusion.
Dr. Obiora, in December 2014 when you went to court, when this case started, the general election had not been conducted. So you had PDP had not become winner.
Exactly. I agree with you.
That's why I read that provision of that law. That will it be that the redress that is contemplated is that whether the person won or whether the party won or not.
No, let me tell you the redress. We went to court in our consequential orders. We had order number 1, order number 2. Order number 1 when I went to court was to ask INEC to put me in the ballot paper for the election. So it has been taken over by event. And if you follow the judgment of the court, order number 1 and 2 were struck off because they have been taken over by event. But in the case PDP has won, then that was why the orders now... So yeah, it was, order number 1 was to be made the candidate of the party for the forthcoming election. Now we have won. It is to be declared the winner. So what I'm just saying in this effect is that, you know, somebody should know, the person here who is blowing hot and cold is your good friend, Victor. If he has said I won the primaries, he should call and congratulate me. You know, and I should expect that also from you, Benga, because either way you look at it,
congratulations.
Thank you. Either way you look at it, INEC has PDP has a candidate. The heir to the throne is there.
Thank you so much. We have to go. We are leaving now.
Thank you.
Dr. Obiora Okonkwo may just be the next senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. INEC says they are waiting for the order. You need to serve them.
Oh yeah, they will get it. They will get it. They will get it. You know, and I believe that they will not be parochial about it. They are very responsible government institutions who bear the order of the land.
Thank you so much. It's the last edition of Focus Nigeria for the week. Enjoy the weekend break. I'll see you on Monday.